What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the 5280 podcast on the MHRT Network. I'm your host, as always, Mundungus Creevy, alongside Cameron Parker, Glenn Hauser, and Gage Madrid. Fresh off of a Denver Broncos win, and we, of course, will get into that. First things first, how are you guys doing?
Doing good. First dub of the regular season, so how can it not be, anything but positive vibes?
Absolutely, and it's always good talking about a somewhat ugly win when it's a win, because obviously we're going to have a lot to dissect in this game, but we're going to have really good vibes doing it because we're coming off of a win. So super excited to talk about it. And we all got to meet up the night before the game and have dinner along with Bree Maestas and Mario. So that was super duper fun. And yeah, man, really good vibes here in MHRT and good vibes overall in Broncos country.
Stories that we will not relay online.
Yes, many, many stories we will not share.
The way Cam treated those servers, I've never seen.
I swear.
Dude.
You know what, Mike? Today's a glorious day for Broncos country, nonetheless. The win notwithstanding, today was even better news than that. So
big news, and we will get into that in just a second. But first things first, thank everybody that's in the chat that's already in the stream watching the show. Make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, make sure you head over to Broncos Syndicate, hosted by Gage Madrid. That's where I get all my information from. So make sure you tune into that, subscribe to that, like those videos. We'd greatly appreciate it. And check out Cameron Parker on Wednesday nights with Mainly Broncos right here on the MHRT Network. So turn on those notifications so you know when those shows go live. Now, we got the big news coming in today. We kind of already talked about it because we thought it would happen, but we finally got the news. It looks like no.
I mean, when Mike sent us the agenda for today's show,
listen, that's not in order. That's not the order.
That was number one.
That's just how I typed it in there because I was in a hurry. Obviously, the big news of the day is the Denver Broncos are going to be moving, it looks like, to Burnham Yard for a brand new stadium. And the cool part is that the taxpayers in Denver will not be picking up any of the tab because Walmart is covering the tab.
Private funding. And actually, I believe it was, let me find it. It was Adam Schefter had this incredible tweet, and it goes to show you why the Broncos is kind of unprecedented to a good degree. It was so the Walter Penner Group, the Walter Penner Ownership Group is privately funding the Broncos' entire new stadium project. The last 9 stadiums to be built or that are in advanced stages of construction have utilized $6.5 billion in public funding. So that's like an average of $726 million per city. So what the Broncos are doing in terms of private funding is a great thing. Like, it is absolutely a great thing. And we'll certainly talk about it, but there's just a lot of wins across the board for Broncos country, the city of Denver, et cetera.
Yeah. And the main reason why we see teams relocate from their respective markets, like the reason why the Rams left St. Louis, the reason why the Chargers left San Diego, is because they couldn't secure public funding for a new stadium. We don't have to deal with that. So there is no concern whatsoever. There never was, but there's no concern, even more so now, that the Denver Broncos are going to leave Denver, and they're not even leaving the city. They're staying in the city, not going to Aurora, not going to Lone Tree, not going to Commerce City. The new location at Burnham Yard is going to be about a mile to the southeast of their new stadium. Easy light rail access. Every time I've gone past it on the light rail, I have said, man, that'd be a good spot for a stadium. And for years, I've pictured it, and it's coming true. It's so cool.
And we did, and with our private funding, we don't have to be like the Chargers and sleep on the Rams couch for the next forever years. So, it's what I know. We have a lot of money. A lot of these owners have a lot of money. It's how these owners have continued to show us what's important, how they want to spend it, even the way they went about this.
Yeah.
And the fact that the city's going to be so involved and the neighborhoods are going to be involved. You just have a good feeling that it's going to be done the right way. I mean, these are people that when they saw that the grass was not in good shape, they replaced it to the tune of $450,000. Jeff, please don't.
There will be some, but I don't think
Yeah,
it's going to be to the
I'm
extent
worried.
that
I'm
Broncos
worried.
country's painting it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is an ownership group that will spend the money the right way. They've proven it in the past, and I couldn't be more excited about this.
That's
Diet
a good
black.
idea.
Diet black.
No, I won't do that. I can't. I'm not risking anything, but if anything, I'll do something. But I think that's a great idea.
Now, I will be honest. I was not concerned about them raising taxes in Denver at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
I don't live there, so raise taxes all you want. I don't care.
I mean, I'm the only one out of us that lives in the city of Denver, so I'm a Denver taxpayer.
And like, I hate talking about like how much these owners make, but to be fair, if you took every other owner in the NFL and put them together, they still don't equal the Walton Penner Group. So,
Okay. Yeah, but look at like a David Tepper, right? That guy's worth about $14-15 billion. He wouldn't even finish paying for the practice facility. They had to take it apart, partial away, while he was getting sued for not paying for his tab. Like, this is what other cities are contending with. I mean, not too long ago, we had, squabbling children of a previous owner running the show, and Joe Ellis trying, just making one bad decision after another. The fact that we're the same team in this position is it's glorious, man.
and I want to touch on David Youngkin's comment, because I do want to talk a little bit about what we do know about what they might be doing with the stadium. So he says he doesn't live in Denver, but he really wants a retractable roof so the city can make a lot of money. Now, we do know that a retractable roof is going to be on the stadium.
Yes,
it is.
I don't understand, and there's a lot of people that hate the idea of a retractable roof. They're like, we want the weather, we want the elements. It's a retractable roof. Open it.
The skydivers.
I don't understand why people are being so upset. I mean, some people don't like change. I get that. But at the same time, with a retractable roof on a new stadium, you can host a Super Bowl. You can host concerts in February when Denver does get snow, right? Like, there's all these things you can do in the stadium to make your money back if you put a retractable roof on it.
Yes. Well, and I was going to say, like, and to that point, Mike, is, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the stadiums that have the retractable roof have hosted the Super Bowl and, and like the Final Four. And like, that's in the back of this ownership group's mind. Like, it is in the back of that ownership group's mind. And then the other part of it too is, like, we're not talking about like something where, we're going to put like the retractable roof on like the current Broncos stadium in a way where it's just like, okay, now all of a sudden it's going to be like a full on convertible car where the whole thing's coming off. No, like, we're talking about a roof that, it'll be a very nice looking roof to where it'll be open enough where you'll probably be, in air quotes, warm, but like, it'll be one where you're still experience the elements of the weather, for a snow game or even maybe a rainy game. And the whole idea is to still, despite the retractable roof, make it so it's a home field advantage still for you and less about the team that you're facing. So I think it's just it's going to be a very fun stadium. It's also natural grass as well. Like, we're talking like something that is like such a massive win. And then when we talk about like the stadium in general, it's 100 acres, 100+ acres, which is
that's Winnie the Pooh like territory.
100 acre wood, man.
I was sorry, I was going to say to Jeff Bryan, and it was already answered, but the Bills' new stadium does not have a retractable roof on it or a roof at all. And I don't. Do we know if the new Soldier Field is going to have a roof on it or not?
It will have a roof. It's going to be fixed. But here's the thing. Buffalo, New York is never going to host a Super Bowl. And I mean, even with never.
A roof. No.
So they weren't prioritizing that. Denver's got a chance to. And
you know what the best part of a retractable roof? It's retractable. Like, all these people like you're freaking out.
Oh, that's what that means.
Yeah.
So here's what I will say about the snow. They'll probably close it for the snow, unfortunately, because they don't want to pay to have to clear the field. As much as we love snow games, from a league standpoint, they're a pain in the ass. You've got to have snow blowers on the sideline to clear the yardage lines. All that stuff can be avoided, and all that money cannot be spent if you close the roof. So As much
When
as
was the last snow
they'll
game?
close the roof.
Gage,
What?
when was the last snow game?
2020, the pandemic year. And the reason I pay
That
attention to
doesn't
this
count,
is because I've been going to every non-COVID
Yeah.
home game since 2018, and I have
Yeah.
not gotten a freaking snow game. I want to get at least one before this stadium goes out, because snow games, my favorite memory, one of the games that really made me fall in love with the Broncos so much in 2015 was the Patriots game.
Mhm.
Sunday Night Football, CJ Anderson scoring that game-winning touchdown in the snow. I mean, that game brings a tear to my eye because it's just so entrenched in my Broncos memory, and we're potentially losing that. So that's one thing that bums me out. But what we're going to get in exchange is incredible. I mean, we're going to get a entertainment district with housing and restaurants and hotels and all of this kind of stuff in this district here. I think I might move down there once the stadium gets built. I'm not even joking. That'd be like the best place for me to live. It's going to be fun.
The worst
Green
place for you to
Bay-
live is there now, actually.
Does Green Bay own Lambeau?
I don't know. I know it's I know the ownership is what, fan owned and everything.
Kroenke owns SoFi, I believe.
Yeah.
Kroenke does, yeah. But,
yeah, there are owners that own their own stadium. Like the Bengals own their stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but so David, do you mean like do the owners own the stadium or does the team own the stadium?
Unless it's
Because I'm wondering, like Lambeau, does the city own that? Because there's no technical owners. If
the
it's
Packers,
the owners,
the Packers Corporation owns that.
Okay.
So, but like certain teams do own, like when Washington was sold, it was sold with the stadium.
Yes, I believe so. Because
Team.
with Washington, like there's these negotiations that were taking place with the state of Maryland when that stadium was built. I found out that stadium was a package deal with the new Ravens stadium. That one wasn't going to get approved without the new stadium for the then Redskins. And the Maryland governor at the time didn't want to do it. So maybe it's a similar situation with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, to be fair, the new stadium that's being built will not be owned by the team. It will be owned by the owners.
I think it'll be owned by the owners through the team.
Yeah, I think it's easy to think team because of the owners.
Well, okay, so here's the question though. So let's say the revenue that is made by, say, a concert or a monster truck rally or something like that, does that get funneled through the team or does that just go to the ownership?
Oh man,
group?
That's too complicated of a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that's why I'm trying to make a difference between does the team own it or do the owners own it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't think the team would outright own it. I think that the owners own it and would use that money to put back into the team.
I don't know the business side of it. I'm
Yeah.
not privy to that. I'm more privy to the sports side.
But nonetheless, it's a huge win for the city of Denver. And frankly, and Gage alluded to it earlier, but it's about revitalizing too this area that is barren. There's not a whole lot within that area. Like the La Loma Park or whatever that is, around it is going to get revitalized with either parking, restaurants, etc. Like it's going to be like.
Are we sure? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. What about Jerry Jones? Doesn't he own?
Ooh, that's a good one. Did Jerry?
I thought Jerry
or
paid
did
for
corporations help him fund that? Ooh, that's a good question because Jerry boasts about that stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, and viewers like you, just like PBS. Right?
Sorry, Cam, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. But I just think this is just a massive win for the organization, and and as far as I see that, Fernando, this is the other part. Now, Grant, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of truth to it, but I did see Vic Lombardi say that the other thing that the team is going to do is they're going to take down Empower and turn it into housing, which is another massive win for the people of Denver, because it's going to be another open area of, in air quotes, affordable housing, but like it's going to be one where There'll at least be some housing for people to stay and everything. So they're going to do right. It's specifically with how the Broncos organize this. I do have a hard time believing the fact that they're not going to do right here in terms of when they tear down the stadium. So I think that they're going to do right by the people. They will turn it into housing, like Vic Lombardi had mentioned. I don't know. It's wins all the way around, and I am more than confident, more and more, that the Broncos have the best owners, not just in the NFL, not just in the NBA, not just in the NHL, in all of sports. They have the best ownership group in all of sports right now.
Well, and that's where I was going to go next, is not only are they building a new stadium, they're also going to be building hotels and shops and
fan experience,
all kinds of things. Plus, with Empower coming down, I'm assuming they're just going to tear it down, and that's going to be it. Now the city of Denver has that land that they can build housing on or whatever they want on it to help with income for the city or whatever they want to use it for. So not only are they gaining that land back to put whatever they want on there, yes, maybe a Walmart and Sam's.
No, I heard they're doing a Bearded Blur scooter park.
I hope so. They would have put some ramps and stuff with some like bumpers down. I was going to say, so not only are they going to be getting that land back to make money for the city there, but now you have all the revenue coming in from all the other things that are being built around the stadium for the city of Denver.
Yes. Well, I was going to say the other thing too, and this is obviously the most important part. The expectation is that this stadium will be done by 2031. So maybe by that point, there will also be an MHRT network shop where you could buy, a Gage Madrid wig in the shop.
That's Goodwill. that's where our stuff's at. Our stuff's at Goodwill.
You know what the funniest part about that is? I live right next door to a Goodwill.
There you go. That's our home shop.
In
right
fact,
there.
Gage is wearing a wig that he got at Goodwill. A crazy coincidence. From the Chucky costume that someone turned in.
Yeah, so obviously there's going to be a lot going on, and it's supposed to open. It will open in 2031 for that season, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so it'll be about 6 years.
Yep.
I love how they call it the preferred location. It's like, no, this is the location.
I was going to say, I don't think there's anything that's going to fall through with this unless they find the land unviable.
Yeah, they're exploring more land in that area too.
I was going to say,
is it bigger and better?
Is it just the 58 acres from Burnham Yard, or do they have more land around that?
They said 100 acres.
It's going to be over 100. They got the Denver Waterworks. They got some acreage from them. They've been buying some other properties behind the scenes for the last year at least. So it's gonna exceed 100, and I bet that they even go even more once they look at the possibilities. I mean, lest anyone think that they haven't been that they don't have an exact configuration on how this should be and what they need to do. I mean, can you imagine if you get even if you hold out to sell, you're then gonna get even a bigger offer thrown at you just to get out and move your business from one place to the other. It's gonna be crazy.
Right. And I've said this before as well. Like, I love the experience at Empower Field, but I hate the walk up to it. It is gross. It is disgusting. It smells bad, but that's probably just me. But
Mike's like, how many escalators will there be in the stadium?
Well, I was
just those airport walkways that go with you.
I was going to say it's at least better than Arrowhead. So we at least have that going for us. And obviously with the new stadium, it's going to end up being better than Arrowhead. Even when Arrowhead and the Kansas City Chiefs get their own stadium, it's going to be way better than their new stadium. So I don't know. It's just we at least have that going for us. Is that
and it's looking like the Chiefs might leave Kansas City proper. So it's like, come on, dude. All of these teams that are exiting the city for the suburbs, it's just a trend I don't like. When I was in Dallas and drove from the Dallas Cowboys training facility to their stadium, I kid you not, it took me over an hour to get there. It was ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to have to go that far between a facility and a stadium just to have to experience that. It's annoying as hell. So for the Broncos, they're keeping it in Denver. They're keeping it within like 20 miles of their current facility. That's not a bad drive. So absolutely, I am all for it. What the Bears are doing and what the Browns are doing, it's kind of like if the Broncos were to move all the way up to Longmont, basically.
Yeah. Pull up
Anybody want to
Big
check
Mike's.
that out real quick?
Did
I
they?
don't know.
I don't know. I haven't even.
I must have been living under a rock.
Yeah,
Chiefs,
can you
I
pull
don't
up
care.
Big Mike's comment?
That one?
Mike? Yeah. So Gillette actually has something called Patriot Place, and it is set up where there are hotels, there's shops, there's restaurants. It's all around the stadium. It's built up. The problem with Gillette is, to quote Jeff, Gillette is a royal pain in the ass. Sure, the shops are nice, but one road in and one road out isn't fun. It is an absolute nightmare. The moment you walk in there, for me at least, I'm already thinking of what part of the concert and what part of the game would be the best time to start making my way out of there, just so I don't get home at 3 a.m. It is a nightmare. So just, and that's not, it's 30 miles from Boston, let's say, right? So it's like, that doesn't always make for a great experience. And I mean, Robert Kraft owns the land, so it makes sense for that. But they did have opportunities to build in the city, and they chose not to.
There's a nice little fun fact too, and I want to make sure that I'm getting it correct, because I was reading Mike List the other day about Burnham Yard, and it sounds like in Burnham Yard was also a place where that was the old Mile High Stadium that had been there for 66 years. So that is a nice little taste, and so I think if you are, I mean, selfishly, if you're looking at what this name should be, obviously Mile High Stadium has to be in the name, at some point. But like the fact that it's at least close to or relative to where the old Mile High Stadium was is really, really cool.
Yeah. No, and I have to bet that Empower will fight to keep the naming rights. Tennessee's stadium, it's still going to be called Nissan Stadium. The Bills' new stadium is still going to be called Highmark Stadium. So I imagine Empower will probably still have the naming rights, and it'll still be Empower Field at Mile High. But
yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like you want it to be Mile High, and I get it, but at the same time, they make money naming the stadium. So I will say, and I see Landon's comment there. It would be cool if instead of stadium, they say the yard, because it's Burnham. Like,
I like it.
Power Yard.
No, just or something that incorporates yard in terms of the name of the
Manscaped Yards at Mile High.
MHRT Network.
Come to the train station, chugga chugga, woo woo.
I mean, Mile High has to be in there somewhere. Like that's just contractually obligated. It's got to be there.
The yard at Mile High.
I like that. The yard at Mile High.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he meant you were my neighbors. Like, no, you're not.
You don't have neighbors.
Broncos at Burnham Yard. That's pretty good.
I will say this. Like, as good as I can guarantee you that the ownership group is going to make this the best stadium in the NFL.
Gosh.
So with the capital that is available for this stadium, I guarantee you, whatever you think the stadium is going to be, it's going to be better than that.
Right.
So I would say I would take credit for this, but I'm not going to.
You just did.
Right.
I'm not. No, I'm actually not going to take credit for this because my dad actually mentioned this. But what do you guys think in terms of like the Waltons in terms of net worth? So obviously they came in and they're already the most they're already the most expensive ownership group that we've had in any sport. But obviously with what they're doing with the Broncos and just in general, it's going to continue going up. So where do you guys think, in 5 years from now, the net worth is going to end up being for the Walton Penner Group?
Well, that's the thing is like Rob Walton, when he came in, he was at 70 billion, but he since actually is no longer. Greg and Kerry have taken over the majority ownership. They've they've bought more from him. I don't think it's ever been released like what Greg Penner and Kerry Penner, what they're worth. But I mean,
I'm gonna look now.
it's got to be. It's got to be pretty astronomical, and the fact that they bought the team when they did, and what it's got to be worth even at this point, and now after this news. I mean, this is a team that's going to. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say this is a team that's going to be worth in the coming years well over $10 billion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I have to imagine it's going to
isn't publicly available.
Yeah,
Is it public?
What's Rob Walton?
Last I checked, it was $68 billion.
Yeah,
$68 billion. Jesus,
and that includes his portion, his two that he put towards the Broncos. Yeah.
It's just going to be crazy because we do have the most, or the most and best owners in all of sports. And so it's wild to think of what their net worth is, which is 3 times, what the next person is. And to think of what it actually can end up being 5 years from now because of this stadium.
Yep. And just like we've talked about with other owners like David Tepper, just because you have the money doesn't mean you're going to spend it properly.
Hey, I just dropped 110, so I'm right there with
this
you.
guy.
Yeah.
So to answer your question,
he's at least $68 billion and $200
on a daily basis is rising.
Yeah, I've given that company more money than I'd like to imagine, unfortunately.
But, and also we have to include Sam's Club in there too, because obviously Sam's Club and Wally's World are together.
I prefer Costco.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm a Sam's guy.
Costco's
won't be Costco Field at Mile High. I promise you that.
There you go.
I mean,
right. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think it's a good time to transition.
Sounds good to me. All right, so we obviously have a bunch of stuff going on from the game on Sunday, and we'll cover some other little things after that. But it has to do. No, we're not doing Deuce Vaughn yet. Okay.
No, but later. I think everybody's now uploading their.
Now everybody's ready.
I know.
Yeah. Right. So the game against the Tennessee Titans. Okay,
Gage
I can't even see the comments.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Gage brings the boom. Do your Rizzler, Gage.
I just bought a 65-inch TV Sunday morning, so throw that in there. Nate Atkins Field at Mile High.
I approve.
I love that.
I approve.
If you see Salami, it would be Lucas Kroll Field at Mile High.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas Oil Field.
Love you,
so,
Cecil.
The game that we had on Sunday, not a pretty game offensively, however. Defensively, good Lord. If you take, and this is the Titans had like 133 yards total or something like that on offense.
I think it was something like that. It was 133 in penalties.
If you take the turnovers that the Broncos had away, the Titans scored 3 legitimate points on offense. 3.
That's pathetic.
Yeah,
and just think how many bad situations this offense and special teams unit put this defense in, and they were still able to come away victorious. This defense held that Titans offense out of the end zone when they were gifted multiple opportunities inside of Denver's territory. So got to give them credit, man. They were incredible.
And that Marvin Mims muffed punt that was recovered real deep, and then the sacks that ensued after that, actually pushing them out of field goal range. I mean, I've never seen anything like that one.
Yeah.
It's one where you really relish into the fact of possibly how great this defense is, because that moment there, like the Mims muffed punt and everything, that is something that would happen in 2015. And I'm not saying relative and comparing to what can be with this defense, because that's such a high bar to compare to the 2015 defense. But like that's the kind of stuff that changes the direction of games when you can have like sacks and everything. And also part of that I think was Cam taking those unnecessary sacks and everything, and that's a conversation for another day. But still, that it was such an impressive outing, and we don't need to look no further than a player who recently got a bag. From the moment of the first snap, Nick Bonito was on a mission, an absolute mission to be the number 1 edge rusher in 2025. He played like an absolute demon. He totaled the amount of pressures and QB hits as you would see in 2 games worth in 1 game. He was absolutely unreal in that game. I mean, yeah, Dan Moore got a contract. He's not the best left tackle in football, but he still earned a big contract, and Benito put him in a blender the entire game. I mean, like the guy was just unstoppable. He clearly showed that he's got that quick step. The run defense is actually getting better from that game, and I just think that is one where you recently just got a contract and you want to back it up on the field. Way to prove it on Sunday. I mean, you don't need to look no further. Obviously, there were other people that, are shining to deserve their credit, but you don't need to look no further than Benito right now.
Yeah.
I owe Nick Benito an apology because I had some doubts about him coming into this season, and I was dead ass wrong. Nick Benito is the real deal, man, and he is continuing to get better every single year. It's translating into this year. I mean, he's taken his game to the next level. The burst, the get off. He's even gotten better in the run defense, like even better than last year. He took strides last year, but took even bigger strides this offseason in that area. I was wrong, Nick. You earned every penny of that contract and probably should have been paid even more.
Yeah, he's him.
Another guy, Hafunga.
Yeah.
9 tackles in the first half. Ended up with 10. But that whirling dervish was unbelievable. In on every play. I mean, this defense, I think it was in the first quarter, like even in the second quarter, Mike, and I lean over, I'm like, these guys don't even have a sack yet. This is crazy. And then to end up with 6 sacks, multiple turnovers. And this is without Dre Greenlaw. I mean, this is just.
Shout out Justin Sternad, dude.
He did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, Singleton even had his moments, but Justin Sternad is the one, that really deserves the praise here because he heard the noise. I mean, there were people, even myself too, that were like kind of doubting Justin, and Sternad and everything about like, what can he be in terms of spelling? But like, as long as you are spelling and not necessarily, for a full season, and you're showing that's the kind of good depth when we talk about this. This.
No, he does not.
He played really well in this game. The read and react was everything you could have seen. So the fact, yes, they did this without Greenlaw. You add that to the mix with what we can see on certain snaps with Justin Sternad, like that's the kind of performance that earns you more snaps, and, and everything. So if they want to load management Greenlaw as they're coming in, like that was a really good step in the right direction, possibly for Sternad.
Yeah,
and just think, you still got Bailey and you still got Reed. This linebacker depth is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I leaned over to Glenn. I don't remember when, like second quarter, third quarter. I was like, it's really cool that the Broncos have Ellis and Cooper in there, right? Like these are guys that were not drafted high, if drafted at all, and now they're starting on probably the best defense in the NFL, and they're making plays on top of that.
Yeah.
Can you pull up Jeff's comment on Sternad real quick? The last one above Landon's.
Do you this one?
Yes. I do agree he had a couple plays where he got washed out in the run game, but he had plenty of other plays where he was impactful, making plays. You can live with getting washed out twice in the run game, which is how many times I believe I counted. So overall, I'm not concerned with how Sternad plays. And just like Cam said, he's spelling Dre Greenlaw. It's not like he's going to be in there all season long. So as a backup linebacker, Sternad had a very admirable performance.
Yeah, I kind of do the comparison, and this is I don't know if he's in the NFL now, but like at the point in time when he was a really solid like linebacker 3 for a team, he almost reminds me a bit of like AJ Klein. Like AJ Klein, a player who I think he was with the Saints at one point, or maybe even the Panthers or whatever. But like there was a point where he was really solid as a linebacker 3 and kind of earned his big deal. Like unlike Sternad, but like he was at least serviceable. Like he was at least serviceable where he can, become possibly that guy that if you need a pinch for a linebacker 2, he can be that. But I just think that, when you look, when
Mike wants to buy a Val. Yeah. Todd Davis is now a coach with the Broncos, so I mean that's going full circle to
say it worked out
Jeff's
for him.
comment.
But no, I just think that it's really something to talk about. When we talk about the biggest things in terms of the pros of this game, the pros of just everything that happened, the defense is going to take precedent. And frankly, when we talk about overreacting, you don't want to overreact, obviously, for week one, but in the vein of overreacting and talking about Nick Bonito and everything, if we are in the vein of overreacting, the Jonah Ellis possibly, becoming a starter down the line conversation, I think that conversation of him replacing Jonathan Cooper is a thing, not, him replacing, Nick Bonito. But I still very much believe that this Ellis thing in the edge room is the best it's ever been since 2015. We talked about it.
I think it's better, quite honestly.
We talked about it in terms of the Cam Ward play, the Mims muff punt and resulting in the sacks. Jonah Ellis is in large part because of that. That was, frankly, the play of the entire game, his sack on Cam Ward on
15 yards.
You put him on half of some of the teams in the NFL, and he's a starting edge rusher. That is actually how good he is right now. And he is only ascending and getting better.
Yeah, and on that same defensive series, I cannot talk tonight, Jesus Christ. That same series, we saw Dondre Tillman get pressure, and that allowed for a Zach Allen sack. So 2 of your backup rotational edge rushers made big-time plays right there. Is that not reminiscent of 2015 with Shaq Barrett and Shane Ray? Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it kind of is. So before we kind of move on a little bit, I do want to give the Titans a little bit of credit because we just talked about how good the defense played. I was impressed with how Cam Ward played. I did not think he was going to be that good. He impressed me in that game. Again, you saw some rookie mistakes, but I'll give him props. He played well.
Yeah. I mean, when you have to look at it in relative to first game, and week one was also a very weird slate in general. And we say that just in general for the entire NFL. I mean, the Bengals, who the Broncos will be playing here in just a short amount of time, barely beat the Browns. So it's a really weird slate for week one. And frankly, I think that there were a fair amount of moments where you could clearly tell he was a rookie, but there are a fair amount of plays that Ward made in that game where if his wide receivers catch the ball, like you are talking about a much better game. And while I was kind of hating on some of the wide receiver room, there is a wide receiver in that room who's way better in terms of catching the football, and that is Calvin Ridley. He has way better hands than that. So the fact that he dropped the amount of passes that he did on Sunday was a big-time disappointment if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, because that was frustrating. Obviously, we were at the game, so we didn't get a chance to see it. But there was a point in the actual game, and I thought it was like photoshopped or whatever, but where his dad, Cam Ward's dad, was pissed about the
where he got up and like went to the railing and
actually pissed about the fact that Ridley, dropped that pass. I mean, so it was just like it was one where he clearly played above and beyond, where things were. And frankly, it kind of showed you it may not necessarily be as much of a quarterback thing, and more so the fact that, Brian Callahan, with the association of a Nebraska former head coach Bill Callahan, type thing, like really putting, organizations into a ground. Like,
he did it.
Like
he did.
Of course he
the
did.
guy has this
It's always him.
all this NFL experience, but former Nebraska.
Like clearly they are running this team into the ground. The Titans are an absolute disaster. They are an absolute disaster. When you have more penalty yards than you do actual yards, yeah, you're a dumpster fire.
Wasn't their net yardage for the whole game -2?
Yep.
Let me go through the Hackett-isms from Bryant Callahan in this game. So the first offensive series for Tennessee, they had a 3rd down and 10 in field goal range. And instead of trusting your young quarterback in a drop back situation on 3rd down and 10, what does Brian Callahan do? He calls a draw and settles for a field goal on that opening drive.
Yeah.
What a way to show your young quarterback that you have confidence in him, right? Then we have the end of half game management where they're backed up in their own territory, and Brian Callahan calls 3 straight passing plays. The clock stops. Denver gets the ball back well into Tennessee territory, and basically they were gifted a free touchdown. Then they gave 3 of those points right back after that big return. That's a different discussion for later. But then Brian Callahan, I believe, I can't remember which series it was. I think it was after the second Knicks interception coming out of halftime where they go downfield and get into field goal range. It's 4th down and 1 at the 35-yard line. And instead of go for it in that situation, which definitely the numbers and the analytics said to go for it right there, he settles for the field goal. They take the lead, but then they don't score any points after that. And then the play where Riley Moss is covering Elik Edelminer, and it looks like he has an elbow down in bounds, and Brian Callahan doesn't know the rule. He doesn't know that that's a catch, and he doesn't challenge it. Yeah. Brian Callahan's incompetence literally lost the Tennessee Titans this game.
Like, Gage, he actually admitted he didn't know that rule, and then he admitted that the rest of the staff on the sideline didn't know it either.
How the hell do you have Bill Callahan on the sideline and not know that? He's been in the league and in college football forever.
Dude, Tommy Callahan knows that. In between selling brake pads, he knows that.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Throwing out the Tommy Boy reference. I love that. Dude.
I don't get it because I'm young.
You're missing out, dude. So, one thing that happened, you mentioned after halftime, by the way. So, right at the end of the first half, they announced that there is a weather warning,
that's right.
An advisory, but instead, get out of the stands, get shelter on the concourse. So, probably half the stadium actually complied. And including us. I don't know if you guys did, but we did.
I did not.
And see, rebel.
I was covered up. I had a good spot.
No, but the point being is they never gave us advance notice to start making our way back to the seats. And so all of a sudden we're seeing on the monitors like Bo Nix is throwing an interception. I'm like, what the hell's going on? But what was interesting, if you heard Sean Payton's, they had gone in. They said there's a lightning storm, a weather deal. All the fans are been told to vacate. So giving him the impression, and so the players are just kind of taking their time, and all of a sudden they come back in. They're like, "All right, guys, let's go." He called it a cluster bleep, actually, like in the in the post game press conference, that they didn't even give them notice. So I can't be too upset about us not getting it, and thankfully, I missed that Bo interception there.
Sean actually dropped an F-bomb in the presser?
Well, he said cluster F.
Okay, because I streamed it, but I couldn't hear it when I was at the stadium. I didn't have headphones. So, oh my God, if Sean Payton had actually said an F-bomb, I would have cried tears of joy. Yeah. That's my head coach, man.
So Jeff Bryan is surprised that we haven't gone in on Bo Nix yet. Just wait. There's a reason.
Oh, don't worry. It's coming.
So what I did was I ended up putting down the pros of the game and then the cons of the game. So obviously we've already talked about the defense. I was going to go by individual players, but I ended up just writing everybody's name down. So I just put defense.
Everybody's name. Every member of the
everybody's name. And this is my personal opinion. I don't know about you guys. I was actually impressed by the running game. I know that it took a while to get going, but when it got going, it really got going.
Yeah, and I think that, there's certain aspects of this because I think it kind of leans into the play calling idea, that, fans have been clamoring for. And, obviously there's the notion of, Bo calling out of some of those plays, which, I don't fault Bo calling out of those plays because the Tennessee Titans defense is quite stout. And for them to be calling, some short passes and everything, beyond the line of scrimmage, that's to neutralize the pass rush. That is to neutralize the defensive line. And that is something we saw probably a fair amount. Now, granted, they don't want to be throwing 40 times because they should have been running the ball a little bit more. But I think that I will say the fact that we saw a capable running game in week 1 is actually a much better sign that I think maybe people need to actually start realizing a little bit, because the Broncos have not had that kind of running game for a long time. And again, they should have gone to it a little bit early, but it goes to show you, and we've said it all off season, we said it all during the show, the importance of what J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey specifically are going to end up helping in terms of the running game. I ended up looking at a stat. It was right after the game, and once the week was over with, and J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey were in the top 10 of yards after contact after week 1. Harvey, obviously, a lot because of the huge run that he had, was in the top 5, but J.K. Dobbins was in the top 10 at 7. So I mean, like, it was pretty evident. It was pretty evident that they really should have relied on the running game more. And if they did, you're talking about you're actually talking about a piss poor defensive line performance, probably by the Tennessee Titans if they committed to a little bit more.
To that point, though, I feel like Tennessee knew coming into this game that Denver wanted to run the football. And early on early downs, they were coming out in a lot of single high looks with 8 or 9 guys in the box. You're not going to have success running the football in those looks, especially when you're dealing with Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat. So there's a reason why the Broncos weren't running the football early on, because it wasn't going to work. Finally, those guys started to tire out, and Tennessee kind of started to play a little bit more too high coverage, and Denver was able to take advantage of some of those looks by running the football. Next week against Indianapolis, we're going to be going up against a Lou Anarumo defense. I was watching tape on that game. He plays a lot of cover 2. You can run the ball against cover 2. So I think we're going to see a lot more of a run game in this one, even though you're still going up against a formidable defensive line with Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner up there. But I think next week we're going to see more of a commitment to running the ball. But in the third and fourth quarter, once Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat got tired out a little bit, and once Tennessee started to show some more favorable looks, that's when we saw the run game start to work, and we saw Denver commit to it. There were 3 plays on the opening drive where Tennessee came out in a single high look. Bo checked out of it because he had a run originally called there, and it's just not a good look to run into. So, again, it's not that they're not trying to run the football. Sometimes you're just not going to get the looks to run the football.
It didn't seem like Bo was agitated and irritated from the get-go, too. It's like, I don't know if the play calls weren't coming in fast enough for his liking, but he seemed kind of pissed off for the most of it. And someone referenced it earlier, but I think maybe it was Jeff right off the get-go. But the amount of swapping out of personnel, it was almost impossible, especially at the beginning of the game, for any of these offensive guys to get in the groove at all. In my opinion, there was so much swapping out.
See, you can always count on Glenn to skip over all the other stuff we're going to talk about and go to the stuff we haven't talked about yet.
Listen, once you went, I thought the agenda was off the table once we didn't talk about Deuce Vaughn first. So.
I swear to God. See, this is why Denver needs a roof on the stadium, because Glenn's old brittle bones can't handle the cold, so they got to put a roof on the stadium.
And I think a lot
Gage just froze again. Get that.
Did we get another meme? Did we get another meme?
Dang it, close. I just saw it. You were like,
remember, this is live, so we could easily go back and still screen grab it. So
true, you can.
I will say that there's. If we're gonna jump a little bit into the Bo Nix thing, me,
why not?
But like, if we're gonna jump a little bit into it because we mentioned it, there's a part of me that actually feels a little bit more like I actually liked Bo's game than probably hated on it, and like I'll actually explain it. I don't necessarily. Well, I will say this: I didn't exactly like the performance itself, the way he would execute things and everything, because that was pretty piss poor. Like, to make it blunt, like, it was pretty piss poor. I will say this though, for him to show command of the huddle and the team that early on was something we didn't get a chance to see in week 1 last year. And the fact that he was that in charge and, annoyed at times with, some of the players and some of the receivers, which frankly, I think goes to the miscommunication and probably where things were. Cause it looked like on the Lucas Kroll play, it actually was an option route, right? Like it was an option route.
That was last week's beauty.
Like that was an option route where it actually was probably preferable that Kroll should have stopped. And instead of actually going straight through. So I think it was a little bit more of a miscommunication thing the entire game. And the fact that I actually enjoyed that game more was because we actually got to see him take full command of this team. He didn't exactly capitalize on some things. And I think a lot of that just was attributed to him being so amped up because of the way things were with him, taking so much command that he was just so amped up. He was just the adrenaline was flowing for Bo that it was just he was missing some certain things and everything. And so like he would miss some throws, misfire on some throws. So yeah, he didn't play great at all, but I just think the part of it where he was clearly in on his teammates, wanting the best of it, he was clearly in command. Like like I said, he was clearly in command of that game. I think is probably the biggest and most important part of this thing. So yeah, he's a con in terms of a negative, but the fact that he had such a command of this offense in week 1 of this season, I should say, is a far more bigger win than I think people realize.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to kind of – sorry, Gage. That's where I was going to kind of go with Bo Nix is like he did not have a great game, right? Like I don't think anybody can deny that. There are certain aspects where he looked good, certain that he didn't. But I really do feel like he came into the game hyped up, ready to go, expecting all these things to happen. And then when it wasn't happening and he was failing on offense and he wasn't making throws and throwing interceptions, that's when he kind of got into maybe not a panic mode, but like, okay, now I have to try to force some things to try to get things going. And that's when we started seeing the other interception or the fumble or missing receivers high or on the fourth down play, which we will talk about in the fourth quarter, where he threw it to Marvin Mims, who was covered, but missed a wide open Cortland Sutton on the left. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain things I feel like he was trying too hard to force it to work than just calming down and just playing. And I feel like, especially having Sean Payton as a coach, along with Davis Webb, is going to be able to sit him down and just let him know, like, hey, you have to calm down, just go in with a level head and just run the plays.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. And the game started off with some offensive operational issues, delays of game, obviously not getting the play call in on time. And Bo wasn't pleased about that. And then obviously the Lucas Kroll miscommunication, the dropped screen by Tyler Bidet that should have been a walk-in touchdown. The blocking was beautiful on that play. That was designed to work exactly as planned right there. And still, Tyler Bidet was not able to catch the ball. And, I feel like that one would have changed the momentum of the entire game. So as far as those operational issues, I think Bo Nix was a little bit flustered and frustrated. But it started to kind of snowball on a 2nd down and 18 play where they were backed up after a holding penalty. And Bo just kind of tried to force it downfield a little bit right there to Cortland Sutton. Threw it late, probably should have checked it down on 2nd and 18 because in reality, you're probably not going to get a first down on that drive.
Right there.
Right?
Probably
not going to
Number one storyline. Deuce Vaughn.
Jaleel would have.
Yeah,
Jaleel would have too.
Jaleel would have caught that 100%. But you're on that 2nd and 18 where Bo throws the first interception. Let's just be honest. You're not going to pick up a first down on that drive. You're probably going to punt the football away, give your defense good field position, and live to fight another drive. But instead, Bo Nix tried to get aggressive downfield and threw it a bit too late. Tim Jenkins pointed out in his film study that Marvin Mims kind of ran a lazy clear-out route on that one, and it allowed the defender to flip his hips and come underneath on that throw. But I still feel like Bo threw it too late and sailed it a couple of yards and allowed the defender to make a play on that first interception. So there were just some plays where Bo Nix, his accuracy was let down by his footwork. I thought he was throwing off platform too much, stepping up in the pocket when he didn't need to. There were some plays where he did need to, and he made some good stuff happen, especially on 3rd down. But there were plenty of other times where he could have just stood there and played out his reads, and he just didn't do it. So for me, at least, I think there's a lot to clean up with Bo Nix. I'm not going to sit here and panic. It's week 1. He's going to have plenty of time to clean this stuff up, but there's nobody who's harder on himself for that performance than Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Sean Payton, no doubt, yelled at Bo Nix, ripped him a new one, did whatever he needed to do there to get the message across that Bo did not play well. And I think there's just going to be a lot to clean up there. So overall, Sean Payton, not going to be pleased about it. We talked about that in the green room before the show. But, yeah, man, again, it wasn't a good day. I'm not going to sit here and say it was, but I'm not going to sit here and say the sky's falling either.
But that's the thing is, like, no one should be concerned about that game long term for the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix.
Yeah, Bill.
You know, it's Sean's ego. Listen, he made some mistakes. Even in the press conference afterwards, he was asked about it. He said he forced the throws. He needs not to do that the next time. They asked him about the fumble. That was the first fumble since Auburn for him. Like, this is not a guy who perpetually makes errors. Yeah. And he said, I committed the cardinal sin. I took one hand off of the ball. And that's what happened. He goes, I just won't do that the next time. So, like, it's game 1. Last year we had game 1. We lost it. We had a rough start to the season. You know what? I'm not worried about this guy at all. Just the way he carries himself. The one thing that he didn't do a whole lot of, I think he only ran once. Like when he was doing his scrambling, I only remember one play where he actually just took off.
Great play. And it was a great play.
It was. But I don't know if that's something that they're going to try to incorporate a little bit more. But he certainly didn't rely on his legs to get him out of any sticky situations at all.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say to kind of pick up where we left off, like we sit here and we talk about how bad the offense was, how Bo Nix didn't play like we thought he was going to. But I do feel like there were some players that stood out on offense, even though we were having some issues. And you guys can take people away. Adam, I'm just going to give the ones that I have. Troy Franklin was one. I definitely thought that he showed that he's improved on last year's efforts. Cortland Sutton, I mean, he's Cortland Sutton, right? I don't think there's any more really to go in on that one. I actually liked Quinn Miners and Garrett Bowles. I thought those were the only two that really held up on the offensive line. The other side, on the other hand, did not.
Actually, for me, if we're going to be overreacting, I will say this. If we're going to be overreacting and kind of maybe continuing the theme of what we saw in preseason, we may have a center issue.
Oh, we got a center issue.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, so in the sense, like, if we're really looking at it, like, I think it's one where, you know, maybe a lot of it is just, maybe they're going through a little bit of still some schematic changes on the offensive line. And that's why, you know, things are a bit different. But we might actually have to enter a Luke Wattenberg conversation, because I actually felt like, you know, even to what you're mentioning with some of the other offensive line pieces, I actually thought Ben Powers played a decent enough game with what was called upon. He was just doing too much in terms of probably helping Luke Wattenberg and assisting, and in doing so, it just left some opportunities open. And I think that for McGlinchey, he was doing okay, relatively speaking. And frankly, once they started running the ball, you kind of saw a little bit of things percolating in the right direction overall with the offensive line. So that's why I'm like, maybe we see a little bit more going forward about this offensive line. Because, like, I don't want to overreact too much, right? Because, like, we are still talking about an offensive line that is top 5 in the NFL. Like, it is still a really good offensive line unit.
Is it, though?
But you know who you're totally ignoring? Who was the most active offensive lineman in the game that day?
Oh, 63 is an eligible receiver. Yeah! Palchevsky, baby.
Oh, the crowd was going crazy every time that was announced. I mean, it had to have been 20 times where he was reporting.
Yeah, when they were trying to run the clock out, they brought out the beef, man.
Number 63 has reported eligible. Yeah!
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. I didn't even.
Sorry, Cam, go ahead.
No, I was done.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, with Luke Wattenberg,
Getting
I
all the
will
references
say
there.
I'd like to see him one more week, just so that way he gets a fair shot, not going up against a 370-pound nose tackle in Devondre Sweat. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe he'll improve a little bit, but I saw bad leverage out there. I saw him getting put on the ground way too often. I saw him just not having the play strength to hold up, even when he wasn't going up against Sweat. And he just wasn't moving guys in the run game. And that's supposed to, or well, no, that's not what he does well. He's more the pass protector. Alex Forsythe is more the run blocker. So maybe it bears the conversation. Do we want to try Forsythe in there? Because we're trying to run the ball more. Forsythe is the better run blocker, especially on the second level. So for me, I think that's worth having that conversation. And Luke Wattenberg, I get that he's smart and he can handle the mental side of playing center well, but you also have a smart quarterback at the line of scrimmage in Bo Nix, and we can put a little bit more on his plate there. He can be the guy who's setting the protection. He can be the guy who's calling out the mic. He can do all that stuff. So if we want to put Forsythe in there and maybe take away from some of the pass protection stuff and maybe some of the mental side of the center stuff, I think I'd be willing to do that if it means we have improvements in the run game.
Yeah. And the last pro that I have, Jeremy Crawshaw.
Yeah!
3 punts inside the 20.
Crikeys!
Crikey!
He was the sole bright spot on special teams.
Yeah. I mean, except for a few, I was going to say, I think overall, Will Lutz had a really good game. Will Lutz had a good game, but I think that kind of goes to it where you don't want it to linger. But it is unfortunate where your heart kind of sinks to your stomach when you see a Marvin Mims muff punt, because it's such a rarity, right? Because it is such a rarity when, you see Mims muff that punt, and so to see it obviously, not backfire on you, was the best thing of that, nature. But so you hope that thing doesn't linger, but yeah, that was obviously, a problem, but yeah, Crawshaw, man, like, talk about putting to bed, at least early on, like putting to bed what was a preseason of nightmare, So I don't know. It's gonna be an amazing story to follow. Obviously, the NFL Australia tweeted about Crawshaw, and I think it's gonna be a fun experience. I have a feeling Crawshaw will be working out this year. Like, he's actually gonna have a good year.
Yeah, he went from Vegemite sandwich in training camp to BLT in opening day. So.
Vegemite.
I gotta say, man, Marvin Mims owes the defensive line a steak dinner after coming through for him there after he muffed that punt. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was that series that won the game for the Denver Broncos. I don't know about you guys, but from where I was in the stadium, when Marvin Mims dropped that punt, it felt like the entire energy went out of the stadium, and it was like, oh, man, this is the play that's going to lose it for us, isn't it? But then the defense goes out there. Jonah Ellis has the sack. Dondre Tillman has the pressure to set up a Zach Allen sack. Cam Ward helps us out by holding on to the football too long, just like Cam said. But, yeah, man, shout out to the defensive line, and I think Marvin Mims owes him a dinner at Shanahan's after that one.
And it was literally like 60 seconds later that he's back out there fielding the next punt. We're all like, it hasn't even left his head yet. Please, dear God.
And Marvin Mims,
and he caught it cleanly.
Yes, he did.
Marvin Mims was one of the guys that I had on the cons list, but it was strictly just because of that fumble that he had on that punt.
And that punt was a fair catch, and that defender was awfully close to him. I mean, that was borderline, interference on that. But I looked immediately at the Broncos sideline, and I didn't see anybody chirping about that lack of a call. So obviously it wasn't that close. Where
Rizzy wasn't happy though.
Yeah. Oh,
gosh. I don't think he said anything to Mims, but you could see Rizzy on the sideline. Like, he had his hands on his knees. He was pissed.
Yeah.
I will say, not to get too much annoyed with the refs overall in that game, I was really mad with how delayed they were on calls. Like, really delayed.
And spotting the ball.
And spotting the ball. If you're asking me personally, I thought that sneak play where Bo didn't get it, I actually thought he got it. And And
it
that
was
actually,
way closer than what they spotted.
Well, they had him losing yardage on that.
Right, like
Yeah.
even if he didn't get the first down, he didn't go from 10 inches to like 2 feet, right?
Well,
like he got closer at least.
and
It went from 3 inches to 7 inches. It's like Mike on a good day.
size does matter.
Not even like 1 to 2.
But I mean, like,
I'm just going back
listen,
to our conversations from the other night.
Listen, I'm a grower, not a shower. Okay, that's all you need to know.
but I just think that, like, you know, and then
If anybody from work is watching, I apologize.
MHRT after dark.
But I just think that, like, then there's that other part where there is no business for, you know, this particular call to be that long. When, you know, Marvin Mims gets a horse collar tackle, why are we taking 30 more seconds and not pulling the flag out of our, you know, our side? And like, there's a reason why Marvin was reacting the way he was. It's like, hello.
It was right in front of Rizzy, and Rizzy was like yelling at the ref, throw the flag.
Well, obviously, you know, I guess it's still an extension of the preseason for the most part for some teams, but the ref side, I was not impressed at times with the refs.
The spotting was horrible in that game. Sean Payton had to burn 2 early challenges because of bad spots by the officials, and almost had to burn a third one. Thankfully, they corrected that one in replay. Right. Then there was one correct spot that Sean challenged that it was close, but he didn't win the challenge there. So obviously those ones are tough, but Sean shouldn't have had to burn his challenges right there. I bet his ass was chapped for that one.
Yeah.
And one of the so there's 2 more cons left that I have at least. One was play calling, and I'm not sure if I can criticize the play calling in general because I don't know ball that well, and I don't know.
I appreciate you admitting that.
What the coaching staff was looking at.
Well, he doesn't know ball because he thinks Travis Hunter sucks.
33 yards. Woo! Good job. No, but specifically the 4th down play where they went for it instead of kicking a field goal. I don't understand that call.
Mm-hmm. I get it, but it's also like, Sean, if you've got a play there that you think is going to work, why are you showing your hand week 1 against the Tennessee freaking Titans? He said that he didn't want to go for the field goal right there because he didn't want it to get blocked in return for a touchdown, a.k.a. PTSD from Kansas City. That's kind of a weak sauce excuse. This is not the situation where you burn that play. You burn that play when you have a game on the line. I get it. Tennessee didn't have any timeouts. Yeah. You wanted to win the game. It was not because they were trying to pad Bo Nix's stats. NFL teams don't give a fuck about stats. They really don't. Yeah. But
Albright
that was a questionable call.
That's why we're not talking about it.
But I just think that when I will say this, had they executed the play, we're having a very different conversation because it was obvious. It was obvious, you know, obviously Sean Payton and, you know, I think he's a really good coach, but I do think he does have those ego moments. But so I wonder if there was maybe something where he doesn't like the Titans actually as much. And I wonder if that's also too, without even admitting it.
Possible.
That's why he also went for it on 4th down. But if they actually get that and complete that pass, or he even hits Cortland Sutton, or he actually hits Marvin Mims, we are having a very different conversation.
I don't, I don't actually, I'm not actually against the play call he had there, right? Like, again, Bo Nix just missed a wide open Cortland Sutton. I'm not.
He also missed an open Marvin Mims. Mims was open there.
Like, I'm not upset with the call. I'm upset with the why didn't we kick the field goal and go up by 10,
bingo,
or 11 instead.
Yeah,
going for it on 4th. That's the call I don't understand.
You have an extremely reliable kicker, a 54-yard field goal, which in this day and age is basically the equivalent of a chip shot. You know, especially when you're in Denver. You have an 8-point lead. That's a 1-possession game, and you're making that type of a decision. I mean, what? Okay, he's worried about a scoop and score. Listen, I love Sean. I love the inventiveness, but sometimes he just gets way too cute, and that was an instance where I I couldn't believe it. And it wasn't something where he had to make a quick decision on it.
That sucks.
Yeah, I did see that. He didn't have to make a quick decision. There was a delay there. There was I believe there was an injured player.
He called a timeout.
So he had time to reverse course. And when the offense was still staying on the field, it was like, you got to be kidding me. It just seemed pretty irresponsible, actually. And I can't even imagine if they had scored and ultimately gotten the maybe won in overtime or something along those lines. That would have been crippling for the rest of the season, quite honestly.
But that also shows how much you trust your defense that they're not going to score right there. I mean, defense had been playing lights out all day, and you were trusting them right there to not let you down.
It was just unnecessary.
Can you bring up the comment about Sean not going for two from Jeff? That one, I think, was the even bigger error. You 100% go for two in that situation. You're up by 7. Even if you don't get the 2, you're still going to be up by a touchdown and an extra point. Go for 2. Try to make it a 2-score game right there. Anybody who plays Madden knows that you go for 2 in that situation.
So I will say, like, obviously I'm not trying to make it so that I'm pro. He should have actually gone for it on 4th down. Because that really, but it's one where I wonder if we are having a completely different conversation or same conversation, for that matter. But I don't know.
Cam, where have you ever seen a coach do that before?
I mean, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
But the reason why,
not a smart decision.
But the reason why I'm saying is because Sean said in his presser, he felt really good about the call. And with what we saw on the field, Sutton was wide open. Like, he could have made a sandwich in the time that he was open. And Marvin Mims was also open. So it's just, it was one where, okay, he clearly liked that play for a reason with how wide open they were. But it was just one where there was clearly, once again, some miscommunication where the offensive line didn't hold up despite all those timeouts, and so for Bo to basically heave it down the field and everything. So, but I don't know. I would have kicked the field goal, because the other part of it too is we talk about, a money kicker. He's also money inside 50. Like, he's money inside 50 as well. So for a 54-yard kick, and I guess the other part of it too, for not going for 2, maybe the reason why he didn't go for it was because they have to go for 2 if they kick the field goal.
True.
But I don't know. Like, you're also extending it to a 2-score game, more of a 2-score game, by going by going for 2. So
because even if they go for 2, they can't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I probably would have gone for 2 there, but obviously we're still it still probably wasn't a good look to even with the 4th down still.
Yeah. So the last con that I have goes into the number 1 topic of the day. We're going to talk some Tyler Bidet as a con.
Before we drop it, can you bring up that comment about bad decision from Nix? Because, again, I just want to hammer home this point here. Bo Nix missed on that throw from an accuracy perspective. Marvin Mims was open on that play. Yes, you maybe would have wanted him to throw it to the more open guy, but there were 2 open guys on that play, and Bo just missed him. Marvin Mims had a step on his defender. If Bo puts that in stride, Mims is also walking in for a touchdown right there. So it wasn't a bad decision. Just because one guy was more open than the other guy doesn't mean that you made a bad decision throwing it to an open guy. You just missed.
Nick Ferguson actually did a nice little breakdown on Twitter of that sequence and that play. And excuse me, when you see it from behind Bo, it is really incredible how wide open Cortland was, especially. But you're right. Marvin had 2 steps on that guy.
Yep. Yeah. He was open too. And I think Bo was maybe thinking throw it to the faster guy in that situation. But again, if Cortland's open, Sean was yelling at Bo that Cortland was open. So that probably should have been the throw. But I am saying that if Nix makes that throw to Mims, we're not having this conversation.
The other part of it too is I see Jeff's comment and I respect it. But Nix does do a lot of pre-snap stuff. Like he's actually really, really good at the pre-snap stuff. Frank, and we talked about it today. Like there's a reason why he checked out of plays and killed plays in terms of go to pass plays from run plays, just because of what he was seeing specifically in the first drive of the game. So, frankly, it really wasn't matter of like I think Nix actually got them at times in the right play. It was just more so the execution of that said kill an opportunity into that new play. So it's pretty evident to me that he knows how to read things pre-snap for me.
Agreed.
Yeah. So continuing on where we were, Tyler Bidet I thought had a horrible game.
Yeah,
did not play well at all. So then my question is this. The Broncos signed Deuce Vaughn, right? He goes onto the practice squad. We know we have Jaleel McLaughlin coming back, who's going to be the RB3, right? So Jaleel McLaughlin, I believe, makes those catches that Bidet did not. So are we going to see a Bidet and Deuce Vaughn flip? Are they going to bring Vaughn up and put Bidet down? Or are we not talking about that yet?
McLaughlin.
I think you're reading. I think you're reading too much into it.
Yeah, but he was inactive this.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We know that McLaughlin's going to come back and be RB3, right?
Right.
So are we going to have a Vaughn Bidet flip?
I don't think it's necessarily a given that Jaleel's going to be RB3. I think Jaleel will be active, but I think they might have 4 backs up. And here's why I say that. Tyler Bidet and J.K. Dobbins are the only 2 running backs that you can trust in pass protection. And you saw Tyler Bidet, I believe, recorded 14 special team snaps. Jaleel played 3 all of last season. There's a reason why Tyler Bidet is active, but he shouldn't see the field on offense as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, and actually, we didn't get a chance to talk about this new little wrinkle that we saw, and that was RJ Harvey on kickoffs. That's a story for another day. But I think, Mike, you're reading too much into it with Deuce Vaughn. Personally, I love Deuce Vaughn. I think that he's a scheme fit here clearly. And it's one where, no, he's not necessarily like the Blake Watson where he's a running back / wide receiver, but he's one where he can clearly in the right system be an effective running back. But I think there's the other aspect of this where you also have to call it for what it is. And Dallas's running back room was putrid. It was horrible. And he never cracked that running back room. I think there's maybe some situations there where he probably should have, and he was never given that opportunity. And maybe there was some nepotism. I know that's a strong thing to be accusatory, but I think there was some nepotism with the fact that, his father was a part of the Dallas front office and everything. And so they're just making right in the sense of, a nice little draft moment. But I just think that for that to work, he's going to end up having to replace an injured Blake Watson. And, obviously Watson's not here yet, but I think it's one where I will say it's just a very simple stash away. He's just a fascinating stash away where, if they do something next year and he flashes, then we'll have a conversation. I think it's more about next year than it is with where we're currently sitting.
Yeah, and as far as like replacing a current role on this offense, Deuce Vaughn is a peanut-sized running back. I mean, he's tiny. He makes Philip Lindsay look like Derrick Henry.
He's as tall as me.
I mean, so at the end of the day, man, Deuce Vaughn, he can do some nice stuff out there. He was productive in college, but I don't know if he's got the durability or the strength to play at the NFL level. So we'll see what happens. He might get an opportunity, but right now, I think that he's definitely the last running back on the roster.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where his dimensions are basically identical to Darren Sproles. So like that's kind of the appeal, the tie-in with Sean Payton. But with Blake Watson, and he had the PCL strain in the last preseason game, what do you think of when would he be able to come back? I know that he has to be healthy, and then 3 weeks after that.
You're talking
Have you heard anything about his health?
You're saying Blake?
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, I have not, but I think what'll be really interesting is it's still a crowded room. So I think that there's at least an option on the table that I think we probably need to say, and that's once he's healthy, they just cut him. And I know that sounds so crazy to say because I love his upside. I think
he's already been cut. He's not on the roster anymore.
You're right. But it's one where they
Glenn Milburn.
You don't know who Glenn Milburn is?
Not off the top of my head.
He was a running back from back in the day, played at Stanford, but he was one of those gadget play guys. Great kick returner, punt returner back in the day.
When you say back in the day, do you mean back in your
he
day
played
or
with
back
Elway.
in my
No,
day?
he played with Elway. So
Leather helmets.
Nothing.
But no,
this isn't Hardington High School. Stop that.
But no, I just think it's one where if he's healthy, maybe he comes back. But
Gaston Green.
he's not exactly done anything. He's not exactly done anything, I would say, to probably warrant a deal, if you will, for the Broncos. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking of tiny disappointments, that I got to tell you that that cooler, the cooler mug, the cooler cup was ridiculously small, tiny.
Expensive too.
What's that?
Expensive too.
I know.
How much
I
were
see
they charging for it?
$28, dude.
Were they putting booze in it?
You could put whatever you want in it for booze. And
Okay, so at least
just for the cup.
he's there, but that's still way too much.
Yeah, the girl in front of me was drinking one. I could hear her stirring, and the ice was in there. I'm like, sounds like an awful lot of ice in that little tiny cup. It looks cool, but
it's really cool.
I thought it was much bigger, like in all the previews for it. A little bit disappointing.
I will say that gives me a lot of optimism because I said it to you guys. I really want those lockers. So maybe that means that the lockers that they advertise, on those social medias where it clearly looks like, a really tall locker. Maybe they're compensating for something and it's actually much smaller than it actually is.
I'm just gonna say, like, that's not the first time I've been disappointed by the size of something. So it's fine. I'm like, it is what it is. Just didn't think it was gonna be that expensive. All right. So
Mike knows all about disappointing with size.
Joe Brewer disappointment was Bidet trying to catch passes.
Yeah, that definitely was a disappointment.
Gage, you hit the nail on the head. That miss really changed the course of the game, and it really changed the way people were like the heat would have been off of Bo a little bit after that too.
Just a little bit.
I don't think that he would have felt like he had to press. I mean, they would have had points on the board right there. They would have been rolling, and maybe he would have gotten into a groove earlier than he did.
And I think there was a fair amount of screens, right? They ran a fair amount of screens with Bidet that he just couldn't come down with. So I think that hypothetically speaking, like let's just say you put Harvey in for half of those, like he houses that one. Like based on the current game plan and the way it was organized, and McLaughlin on in the game, you put Harvey in for that 3rd and 15, that thing's housed.
Yep.
But I will say in just giving in respect out of Tyler Bidet, I think that is a catch he makes more often than not. It was just one where it happened, and now big moment. We're talking about it. It's an unfortunate moment, and he had a bad game. You got to call it for what it's. He had a bad game, and a lot of those are screenplays. So it's a much different game when you can have a running back catch the ball and actually have some yards after it.
In this offense.
Specifically in this offense, yeah.
Guys, why did we bring this running back in? I believe that the Broncos are carrying 4 running backs on the active roster and want to have one on the practice squad, so that's why we brought in Deuce Vaughn. You've got J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Tyler Bidet. You have Blake Watson that we think is going to come back on the practice squad but is currently injured, so they brought in Deuce Vaughn for the practice squad. That's what it sounds like is going on there.
Yep.
The other question I have, and this was just a thought in my head, we kind of talked about the linebacker group earlier. We know we have Dre Greenlaw coming back. We saw how well Justin Sternod played. Could there be a Sternod replacing Singleton conversation at some point?
Key word is some point. But I think that, it's one where I think we said this comment about between Greenlaw and Singleton, and it's all predicated upon the green dot, right? And Singleton has the green dot. And that's going to be a tall thing to kind of replace. And so for him to replace Singleton, he's in essence going to end up having to have that green dot on his helmet, which is in essence, he's the captain of that defense where he's getting the plays from, Vance Joseph, Sean Payton, that sort of thing. And the plays are being relayed, and he's the one that's relaying the plays, to the defense. If that happens, we do have a Singleton conversation. Again,
that went to Barton last year when Singleton went out, right? Or
yes.
was Sternod the green dot?
No,
but you have to say, like Singleton's effort, enthusiasm, and just being in on a lot of different plays, you really can't knock that. I mean, I love that guy. I love to watch him. I mean, I can think of one play where he was in pass coverage and did not turn around and gave up. It may have been the Pollard catch, actually, but other than that, I thought he had a spectacular game.
Yeah, and he's coming back from injury, right? So you have to still call it for what it is, and he played well relative to coming back from that injury, and so I think that maybe this is one of those things like we're probably putting too much, in terms of like hate on Singleton, because I think that when you talk relative to the starting lineup, which is going to at some point be Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton, they do complement each other very well because, Singleton is a very like play with your hair on fire type player, but he's really good with run fits, and really good with run defense. He's okay at times in coverage. Greenlaw plays with your hair on fire. He's really good in run fits. He's really good in coverage. He's your far more well-rounded linebacker. He will be your best linebacker between the two, but like relative to what that starting unit is between Singleton and Greenlaw, they do feed off each other quite well. And I think that at some point when we do see that, you will kind of get a chance to see what the future will possibly build. And I say future in the sense because Singleton's like 30 and Greenlaw's like 28 or 29. But like with what they could build with this defense, because like with what we saw with Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton, they paired quite well with what they were doing. Granted, they were still a little bit limited as far as our linebacking core. So I think that you put Greenlaw with this, who clearly is the best linebacker ceiling-wise, and if health permitting, we see it. That's one of the best duos and complements you could have at that linebacking core.
Yeah, and I don't bring this up because I'm trying to hate on Singleton at all. Like, I don't hate Singleton. I love Singleton. He's a tackling machine. But at the same time, you can't look out there and say that Singleton's the best we could get, right? Like, I think at this point, Sternod and Singleton are fairly even in what they're going to give, but I think Sternod still has more to go, whereas Alex Singleton, I don't know if he does.
I think that Alex and Sternod really fill different roles, and just like Cam pointed out, Alex has the green dot, and the Broncos really feel comfortable about him from the mental side of the game. Him being the quarterback of the defense, getting him into the right look, making sure everybody's lined up correctly and on the same page. All of that stuff's invaluable. And sure, he might have a coverage bust here or there or miss a tackle here or there. I think Denver's willing to live with that because of everything else that Singleton brings. And I think they view him in a much greater light than we do as fans and analysts sometimes. Yeah. And I'm guilty of that. I've criticized Singleton plenty on this channel, but I also can recognize that the team feels that he fills a valuable role, and there aren't many guys out there that can fill that same role.
He never takes a play off.
He really doesn't.
High motor, high energy, high effort. One of the team captains, team leader. I mean, Alex Singleton is definitely one of the key locker room guys for the Denver Broncos. And it's kind of a miracle that Denver's defense was as good as they were last year, not having the quarterback of the defense out there, the guy who was getting them on the same page. As much crap as I gave Cody Barton, he stepped into that part of the role admirably. So having our leader back there, I think, is going to help take this defense to the next level.
Yeah. And it's worth reminding people that the captaincy is voted on by his fellow players.
Yep.
That goes to show how the locker room feels about him.
Yep. So Joe, kind of bringing it back to the first main topic, are we all happy that the Broncos are staying in Denver, or would we have preferred that they went to Aurora Lone Tree?
I was hoping Castle Rock, but you know,
I was hoping Omaha, but
I mean,
I am
Cam would approve.
I would so approve Castle Rock. Selfishly, obviously, I would like Low Tree, Castle Rock, but no, the best interest of the team, the fans, and just the overall city is keeping it in downtown. And I think that now, to kind of go full circle a little bit on it, like the Broncos now have with the 100 acres and what they can do with that location, they can truly make this a fixture of downtown Denver, like a true fixture of downtown Denver, where it's standing alone, but yet it's a nice little appetizer, a beautiful appetizer for you as you're getting close to downtown Denver, where then Coors Field possibly could take on, another form as far as being, the biggest stadium downtown. Well, the team there is another story, but the stadium is an experience. Coors Field is an experience, and I think the other layer to this is the Walton Penner Group is also close with the Cronkies, and the fact is that when you look at it from even the Ball Arena development side of things, Denver is going to be, I think, in a much better place visually and aesthetically, and hopefully, things are better even to economically, and just in terms of maybe getting some of the crime out of the city. That's probably going to be another thing too. But it's just like the Ball Arena development's going to be there, and I think that's going to be finalized in 2050. So I mean, like, just overall, the way the appearance of downtown Denver, I think, is going to be hopefully changed in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cobra Kai No Mercy is not a fan of moving to Burnham Yard. They could have built it somewhere near DIA, which is still in Denver. No,
it's not. It's not.
No, it's not.
No,
it's
it's
not.
in the boonies.
Some of that
the
land
same
is owned
thing.
by the city. Yes.
It's the same thing as saying, like, we're the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington. That's just dumb. Like, it's not Dallas.
Yes. It's not Dallas. As somebody who was just down there, it's not Dallas. And Lone Tree is not Denver. DIA is not Denver.
Okay. Is this channel better than Mile High Huddle? First time seeing this. I'm not going to say that we are better than Mile High Huddle, so I won't get into that. Cool. Hey, fireworks. We're not going to hate on Mile High Huddle, but we're glad you joined us here at the channel that could be.
There is only one. There is only 1 mil. Like there's actually like one, like pro of it being in DIA, and that is just simply from a traveler and visitor side of things, and that is just flying in, and you're seeing that beautiful stadium flying in. That is the only part, and the only part of it in terms of in DIA. Do you want to know how terrible the traffic would have been if it's in DIA? The traffic is already horrendous going to DIA. You put a Broncos stadium and parking down there in DIA, you're talking about one of the worst experiences that is worse than Arrowhead.
Yeah, but how cool?
Takes an hour to leave.
But how cool would it be if you had the giant jumbotron, and on top of it was Lucifer rather than that big white horse that currently stays there?
Bree would be happy.
Does light rail go to DIA?
No, it's not the light rail. It's the airplane
expensive.
Train rail.
Yeah, way too expensive, because you'd have to add it. Like, if you're talking about light rail getting to the game, right? You then would have to add that extra to get from the city to DIA.
That's why I don't think that was ever in play. The two main spots they were looking at were Burnham Yard and then I-25 in Lincoln, because that's right off of a light rail station. I think that's the big key here, is they want easy access for transportation, because the one thing I will say, public transit getting out of the games is fucking terrible.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I do my post-game show from the stadium. I stay a good hour after the game's over. And even then, when I try to leave, it is a cluster. It is a cluster F, as Sean Payton would say.
Oh, you can say it.
It was a clusterfuck. It is.
Yeah.
It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Everybody's waiting. They used to have buses. I remember back in the day, they had buses before the pandemic that would take you to various park and ride stations in the area. I lived off of Hampton and Hampton and Wadsworth at the time, and so I would just go to that station, get on the bus, and then I'd have a 5-minute drive home after getting off the bus. Now you've got to stand in line and wait for almost 2 freaking hours sometimes for that light rail. Wait for people to get on, and once you do get on, it's packed like a sardine can. You have no room to breathe. You have no room to move. They've got to figure out the public transit situation to the games. And I've never tried to go park down there. I can't imagine how disastrous traffic on I-25 is down there after the games. Good God.
Mike and I actually got on a different train than we were supposed to intentionally.
Yeah.
Just
what?
And it was just to be able to, and then hopped off and joined on our existing train, and it was still packed to the gills.
And I do
6 stops down.
I do just want to remind everybody, especially Gage, like we've had Brandon Perna and Derek Wolf on the show. You could say whatever you want. Okay. You can't say anything worse than what they did. Okay, like Perna made the whole thing a big penis joke. So go ahead and say what you want.
But
his line was one of the greatest. So we tried to keep things mellow, and then Brandon said that it.
You think I take the show off the rails?
And this is the only time where I'm allowed to cuss, because I can't cuss really on Syndicate.
Well, Gage, I don't know if you saw it, but if you ever heard the story, but
I didn't.
He was talking about Trindon Holiday. And he said he thought it was Orlando Franklin's penis.
It was so good. It was so good. Now I do want to say this. Cobra Kai No Mercy was saying wait for the homeless when he was talking about Burnham Yard. And the one thing we discussed at the beginning of the show is that the ownership building the stadium at Burnham Yard is basically going to try to turn all of that area into nice housing, nice shops, nice restaurants, nice hotels, to try to revitalize that entire area. Isn't that kind of the whole point?
Yes, it is. Yes, that is exactly it. So when Cobra Kai had that comment about that's exactly what they're doing in Burnham Yard. That's exactly what they're going to be doing in Burnham. And it's retractable. It's natural grass. It's literally everything we could have asked for. And also, they would not have had the sign off from Polis and Johnston and everybody in the state of Denver. They would have had to have the sign off from everybody in the in just overall the state of Denver for that thing to pass.
Yeah, and Chris, I do want to remind you, I don't know if you're here earlier. If you weren't, thank you for joining us. The roof is going to be retractable. So the only time they'll really close it is if it's snowing, or I'm assuming if there's lightning coming, they can close it, and then they don't have to stop the game.
Yes.
Or when football season is over and they're wanting to host events at the stadium, they can do that with a retractable roof.
Yeah.
So I understand not wanting a dome. Cool. We're not getting a dome. We're getting a retractable roof, which I think benefits everybody.
I think it's one of those things where
wallets.
Yeah. And like with what it sounds like they're planning on doing, and it's going to be more fun as details arise. And, once some of the renderings are shared, if you go down on a Thursday afternoon and you just want to go to the team store, there's no energy around that stadium. It's just a big thing right there. This, from what I envision,
I didn't think about that.
Is going,
I've been on that radar.
Yeah, I envision that this is just going to be one of those things that there's going to be energy and buzz,
2 floors
all the time, because there's going to be a lot to do. It's going to be such a spectacular setup, and that whole neighborhood is just going to be revitalized.
A team store in the stadium that's 2 floors. But
the Packers have one like that. Yeah.
Escalator.
I will say, and this is, I don't know if they're still doing this, but so I don't know if they're still doing this. But one of the other things that I would love to add, to this is obviously Super Bowls. Like we talked about that, the retractable roof is one of the primary reasons why, if you want a Super Bowl and you want a beautiful stadium and you probably want it in Burnham Yard, you build that stadium there. But and depending on if it's 100 acres, you're going to have an NFL draft. But where I was going to go with this is, I don't know if they're still doing this, but the stadium series, having a stadium series game every so often of the Colorado Avalanche in the new stadium of the Broncos, with a retractable roof would be freaking incredible. Would the traffic be horrendous? Yes. I mean, the traffic was already horrendous, and that was at the Air Force Stadium when they did the stadium series not too long ago. But like,
I lived in the Springs then; it was terrible.
But like, if they did a stadium series game of the Avs and the Red Wings, just hypothetically, that would be incredible to do a stadium series game in that new stadium.
Yeah. Two more things to talk about. Don't want to keep everybody too long. We're already way
2
longer
hours
than I
in.
thought we were going to be.
We're like mainly Broncos all of a sudden.
I know, right? But number one, and this is just
with no influence.
This is just kind of a topic of ridicule. I can't talk. This is kind of a topic of ridicule for one of our AFC West teams. The Chargers won. Way to go, Bill. The Raiders won. The Broncos won. The Chiefs didn't.
It's like the first time I think.
And that's a J, Gage. And
no, it's not.
That's a J. You got to use your other hand.
That's what this is.
That's not a J. That the Chiefs lost, and their next game is against the Eagles. We very well could see an 0-2 Chiefs team.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm expecting it.
I
see now your Gage is thinking about the J after the show.
Right?
Oh, trust me, I was already thinking about the J.
Oh boy. All right. So we can tell you live in Colorado.
Yep, and I'm very proud of it.
Next, we have the Denver Broncos playing the Indianapolis Colts. We have Bo Nix against Indiana Jones, which honestly, coolest nickname of all time. Like Danny Dimes was fun. Yeah. Indiana Jones is sweet.
Yeah,
like that's a cool nickname. And if we're just basing it on last week's performances, Indiana Jones was not the problem in New York. It was everything else. Because he had a killer game last week.
I will say a lot of Daniel Jones' good plays were really just because the Dolphins' defense was really
bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, terrible. That's not to discredit Jones. I thought he had some nice plays, certainly, but 90% of it was blown coverage by the Dolphins' defense, playing soft zone, giving up easy completions. And he picked that apart. Yep. Denver does not play defense that way. They are not that nice.
Yeah.
They will get in your face. They will blitz you. They play the most man coverage in the entire league. So be prepared, Danny. It's going to be a much different experience next week.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the matchups that we probably would be wanting to look for is the wide receiving core of
so mean.
It's true though. That's literally what happened.
When you look at it, like in terms of matchups, the wide receiving core is actually maybe a little bit better, than Tennessee's with certainly some more reliable options. The other part of it, and you got to talk about it because it's the elephant in the room, because he wants to play better and not physically drop the ball this time, and it's Jonathan Taylor. The Broncos are going to have to key on him. I have to actually. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, and this was just because of Dre Greenlaw's Instagram story. But it seems like he's actually trending in the direction of playing, and they would need him, to be playing in that Indianapolis game. Now that said, I think the Broncos defense in general has clearly shown that they can overcome those linebacker gaffes or those linebacker miscomings because of how good they are. So. I'm not overly concerned about Jonathan Taylor, but he is a player who has been known to kind of surprise every once in a while.
Rented rugs.
So I don't know. The Broncos, I think, will win this game. I think they will win this game. I also think the offense will have a much better showing against the Indianapolis Colts, because the Colts do have a little bit of a lesser defense in the secondary than the Tennessee Titans do, which we didn't get a chance to talk about that, but the Titans secondary really, really impressed me.
Yes,
with how well they played.
I thought their defensive coordinator last year did a really good job, and he didn't have a lot of talent to work with. He got a little bit more talent to work with this past offseason, and I think Tennessee's defense is going to be one of the more underrated units. I mean, literally, they gave up the least passing yards in the entire league last year. So they're not a bad unit, and they played really, really, really well. But as far as Indianapolis is concerned, especially with that offense, man, I don't think they're going to have as successful a day. But when you look at it just from the perspective of that team, they blew their chance to go to the playoffs last year in that game here in Denver. They could have played that game in Germany this year, the game that we're going to play next week. It could have been in Germany later in the season. Indianapolis wanted that game at home. They know how important this is going to be for them. And there is an element of vengeance there because they felt like they fumbled the bag quite literally at the goal line there in that game against the Broncos. So this Colts team is going to come in there with a chip on their shoulder, and they want to get revenge for what happened in Denver.
Yeah, I do think we have nothing to worry about on the defensive side of the ball. I think our defense shuts our offense down. I do think that our offense has a better day, and I think that's predicated based on the running game. I think that both running backs are going to have big days. I don't think that the Broncos defense allows 20-something points on for the Colts offense. I just don't. Like, our defense is too good. I think it's going to be more like a 17-32 type game, something like that. Denver wins like 32-17 or something like that.
Don't you mean
Denver wins 32-17? Thank
you.
I just said that.
You said 17-32, and that's why it threw me off. I'm used to hearing it the other way around.
No.
I got to be honest, I don't think Denver's going to score that many points. I think this is going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest. I think this could be approaching like 17-14 territory. I'm not even kidding. I don't think that we're going to see a lot of touchdowns in this game. I think Indianapolis's defense is for real under Lou Anarumo, but I think Denver's run game will be a lot better because Indianapolis does play a lot of cover two, and you can run the football against cover two. And yes, the last time the Denver Broncos won in Indy was 2017. That was the game where Trevor Siemian got hurt and Brock Osweiler came in. That was a fun game.
It was a fun game. Wasn't that the game when they
Cody
won?
Latimer and Jeff Hireman, actually.
Yes.
I was gonna say, and they wore the Color Rush uniforms, and Devontae Booker had a really impressive hurdle in that game too.
And that game was broadcast in like the Madden style where you were looking behind the line of scrimmage and getting to see the runs develop. That's how we should be watching football. But casual fans will never let that happen.
Casual fans suck.
Casuals. I'm going 27-20 Broncos. I do think it's going to be a little bit tighter than people expect.
It's a good one.
It's just me. I just don't see our defense giving up that many points.
I think they're only going to give up 14 points.
You know,
I could definitely see it being like a 17-14 game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see that. I just don't see our defense giving up that many points.
I will say, what was it? I was thinking 27-17 last week. I think it's going to be a pretty close game in general, but I think that this is also still one of those games where it may be 20-17, but then Denver gets that final score to put them over the hump, 27-17. So I will say 27-17, but it's going to be close relatively. But then Denver gets that score that makes it 27-17.
My bold prediction is that it's going to be tied heading into the final drive. Bo Nix is going to have the opportunity to respond. He's going to lead the Broncos down into field goal range, and they're going to do what they didn't do in Kansas City last year, and they're going to actually kick the game-winning field goal to walk it off at the end.
Rodney, to be fair, who doesn't truck Miami's defenders? I'm just throwing that out there. All right, anything else we need to cover? Did we get it all? I think we did. It's been almost 2 hours. I'm pretty sure we got it all.
I think we
covered Deuce Vaughn. If we ever need another backup quarterback, Sam Hartman's out there. Let's go grab him.
I don't think he is. I think he's still with Washington's practice squad and not as a Disney prince.
Travis Hunter still sucks. Anything else that we didn't cover? I think we got it.
No.
All right.
We're good.
So that's
Remember when you said something about casuals, Gage?
casual. He's frozen.
He's
Get it.
frozen. He's
Get
frozen. Gage
Take
is a lawyer.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us in the show tonight. It's always great when you guys can join us in the chat and keep the conversations going, keep the thoughts going. We appreciate it. Make sure you check out all of
Mundungus Throckmorton.
Jeff bringing back.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I love that. Make sure you check out all of the shows on the MHRT network. We got shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the neighborhood on game days. Check out Cameron Parker hosting Manly Broncos on Wednesday. Make sure you head over to Broncos Syndicate, hosted by Gage Madrid. Like him and subscribe to his YouTube channel, as well as MHRT. Make sure you like and subscribe there. Easiest way that you can go ahead and support the network. We would greatly appreciate it. We love the Broncos. We love Broncos country. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my life.